In this introduction, we'll introduce some of the key terms that we're going to use throughout the course. So let's start off by looking at life between lives, LBL. The life that it refers to is the life between incarnations as a spiritual energy in a spiritual world. Lives refers to multiple lives, reincarnations that we have in physical bodies in a physical world. So in LBL, we focus on the life that we have in the spiritual dimension. And the purpose of this life in the spiritual world is to review and preview our many lives in the physical world. So our life between lives happens between all our past lives. It happened before we entered this life. And before we enter the next life, we will turn to that life between lives. This is a therapy course, so it's LBLT. People often drop the T, and I will as well when I talk about LBL, but we can remember that in its full form, it is LBLT. So that T stands for therapy, and it follows many of the conventions of therapy. So therapy often involves taking our client back to the cause of their issues and resolving them by recalling events in our physical world. LBL therapy often involves taking our client back to the causes of their coming into being by recalling experiences in the spiritual realm. So LBL takes us into a dimension beyond space and time, into a spiritual realm. This could therefore become philosophical, religious, metaphysical. But because we're doing LBLT, this is primarily a therapy. We go in with the client as a therapist with the objective of getting a therapeutic resolution. So like many therapies and even some spiritual practices, the ultimate goal of LBLT is to reduce suffering in the client and to increase wholeness. So we work in the spiritual world, and within that world there are key players that may in a sense be manifestations of our clients' inner wisdom, but in LBL we take them quite literally. So some of these key players that we're going to meet, that we can define initially and introduce now, are the spiritual world. This is a dimension where we have an existence, a life as a spiritual being, and we enter it between all of our physical incarnations, spirit guides. These are spiritual entities that help us navigate through this spiritual world, and they'll do this throughout the LBL process. And these guides also assist our clients on their spiritual journey. Soul groups. These are the spiritual energies of the beings that incarnate with us in this life and will have incarnated with us across many past lives. The Soul Council. These are older, wise souls who help us review the lives that we've had, the life that we've just lived, and they help us select our future lives. The rest of the course is about going into depth and detail about how these work, what they are, and how we can work with them to get our clients a therapeutic resolution.